Hello and welcome to another SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode I will be discussing Disney's 2010 animated classic Tangled, as directed by Nathan Greeno and Brian Howard. Or Byron Howard, yeah. And as watched as part of our family film night. So, according to my very own way of numbering Disney classics, this would be their 51st such movie. I do promise that I am still working on something like an episode to explain what I mean here, but this was something like 60 odd films in the series. It's just taken a little bit of time to figure out how I want to do it, because I just don't want it to be me kind of reading out a list of numbers in an order, if you know what I mean. So please do bear with me. Please do subscribe if you haven't done so already, in order to catch that episode, when I do get around to doing it. And, of course, my other movie reviews as soon as they are released. This movie is somewhat loosely based on the classic tale of Rapunzel, as told in the stories by the Brothers Grimm. And I say loosely in that the general idea is there, but unlike quite a lot of the earlier Disney movies, which took their story from a classic tale, this one I think only takes the premise, the idea, if you will, and then kind of twists it in a really fun and captivating way, as only Disney could. So, this movie sees us introduced to Mother Gothel, as voiced by Donna Murphy, an elderly woman who has found eternal youth for hundreds of years by hoarding away and using a magical, by using the magical healing powers from a flower born of a single drop of sunlight, which fell to Earth many, many years ago. However, the flower is found to be used, the flower is found and used to save the queen of the land, that's it, tongue twisted, as she falls ill during pregnancy, and as a result the power of the flower is transferred into their unborn baby, Rapunzel, who, when born, possesses the power to heal and rejuvenate through her hair. Mother Gothel proceeds to kidnap Rapunzel and lock her away in a tall tower, as per the story, in the middle of the woods in order to keep the power for herself. But as she turns 18, Rapunzel, now voiced by Mandy Moore, is restless and wants to see the outside world and seizes an opportunity to leave and explore when a charismatic thief, Flynn Rider, as voiced by Zachary Levi, finds himself in the tower in an attempt to avoid detection by the authorities. What then follows is a crazy cross-country adventure as Flynn guides Rapunzel across the country to the palace to watch a lantern festival that happens every year on Rapunzel's birthday, and something she has been dreaming of for as long as she can remember. Attempting to thwart Rapunzel's freedom is, of course, Mother Gothel, who wants to lock Rapunzel back in the tower for her own gain. But slowly, Rapunzel begins to realise and understand her heritage and the events that transpired when she was born. So, for me, the movie does represent the resurgence of Disney, the start of the second renaissance, if you will, being in what I class as the first film to look to recapture some of the classic elements of those films from the magical era of Disney, such as 1989's The Little Mermaid, 1991's The Beauty and the Beast, and 1992's Aladdin. Now, I know that for many, that may have actually already been 2009's The Princess and the Frog. But, I don't know. It's been quite a while since I last watched that one, and for me, it just didn't resonate the last time I watched it. Perhaps I will change my mind on a second viewing. I'll keep open to that. Watch this space, you never know. The movie seeks to capture a wider audience than some of its direct predecessors, with humour and visuals that will appeal on different levels to both the children and adults alike. It had the whole lot of us in stitches. It puts a new comedy spin on the classic tale of Rapunzel and adds its own flair in a way which it not just pads out the story, but also makes it into a fantastic storybook adventure that is just simply a treat to watch. Admittedly, it does borrow much of its style from other films in the same genre that had gone before, not necessarily those made by Disney, in order to achieve its overall feel, such as 2001 Shrek, for instance. And if I'm honest, quite a lot of Pixar's charm and style can also be felt in this movie. You can see that the two were kind of starting to merge and co-join quite well, in a way. Each was taking a bit of style from each of the other partner, if you like. But you can also see that Disney had started to see what the audience wanted from animated films, rather than basically trying to tell us what we should be thinking that we want. But also combining the classic style of the earlier storybook films to make something that I would say is quite truly engaging and magical throughout, without being too overbearing or moralistic. Character-wise, Ryder and Rapunzel, they make for an excellent odd couple comedy duo, and have some excellent non-speaking sidekicks in the form of Pascal, a chameleon that forms the basis for Rapunzel's best friend, and Maximus, a royal guard horse who, at least at the start, is on a mission to capture Ryder for his crimes. All four are very, very well developed and a riot to watch, especially when they're on screen together. However, I must say that the film's main villain, Mother Gothel, just came across as annoying for me for most of the time, and a bit flat. But, and this is a big but, that goes for the character and not the character's modus operandi, which is probably, actually, thinking about it, one of the most realistically evil and most close-cutting to many, I am sure. This is due to the fact that Mother Gothel has no magical powers whatsoever, no physical strength at all. She controls Rapunzel only with words. And this is something far more scary and horrifying than most other villains portrayed in any other Disney movie. This is a real villain. She literally kidnapped Rapunzel, held her captive, and controlled her by passive-aggressive belittling, down-putting, and general controlling tendencies that made Rapunzel feel like she was weak, worthless, and unworthy. Unfortunately, an all too common occurrence in the real world. However, this is balanced in the movie, so as not to darken the tone too much. After all, it is aimed at kids, in that Rapunzel is always full of energy and eager to learn more about the world, regardless of Mother Gothel's hold over her, and has compassion and an acceptance for others, even though she herself needs to find her own self-confidence. She finds that she is more than capable of taking care of and standing up for herself when needed. Moving on, the film is a return to the way of the Disney musical, and although I have to say that the musical numbers are mostly forgettable in this outing, they are actually set to some fantastic animation sequences, which really makes them shine, at least while you're watching them. The songs themselves are quite mediocre, and although numbers start with promise, they don't really deliver, in my opinion. And this, to be fair, is quite a shame, as the music is actually composed by Alan Menken, with lyrics by Glenn Slater. Menken, at least, if you have seen some of my other Disney movie reviews, is a name you may remember as being the joint creator of some of the music and songs in absolute Disney classics, such as the aforementioned Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Little Mermaid. So I did expect big things in this respect, but it isn't quite his best work, and doesn't reach the dizzying heights that the music in each of those respective films did. But it is still enjoyable for what it is, and yes, has a few powerful moments when coupled with the atmosphere and feelings being depicted on screen. And then, as I was kind of generating this review, it did kind of occur to me, I mean, perhaps, however, I have been a little bit harsh here, because as I was actually creating it over the past few days, I've actually found myself humming the main theme in the shower. So it must have been a bit more memorable than I've kind of give it credit for, perhaps. Finally, the animation. Well, it's fantastic. You know, Admittedly, there were a couple of times, especially in the kind of the close-up shots of the characters, where they just kind of seemed a little off. And for me, with Rapunzel, all you ever saw and focused on were her eyes. For some reason, they were just extremely large. Or at least they kind of seemed this way. And for me, at times, this kind of did distract from what else was being played on screen. I'm sure there must have been a method in Disney's madness here. Perhaps to draw you in. I don't know. But the hair. Oh, the hair. You know, you have to ignore the fact that it seems to grow and shrink as required. Not sure if that was one of its magical properties. Probably not. But the detail that has gone into making this stand out and appear lifelike is unbelievable. All I can say is that she must use an unbelievable amount of Pantene. But no, seriously, the animation was exquisitely detailed in this respect, and the movie overall was superb in this respect. One of the most standout scenes was when Rapunzel finally gets to witness the Lantern Festival whilst on a small sailing boat. The atmosphere created here with the animation and the music is just pure Disney magic. So, overall, an excellent entry into the Disney Classics series, and for me, the first which kick-started their second resurgence, shall we say, after a slew of pretty mixed bag of films, to be sure. It was a nicely paced, self-contained story with some fantastic comedy, animation, and relatively decent music. It's the kind of film which does leave you with a real satisfied, warm, and fuzzy feeling by the end. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, more trailer reactions, and more movie-related content. But most of all, thank you very much for watching. We've loved having you, and we hope to see you again. Thank you for watching again, and goodbye.